DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one daily masterclass, all under one umbrella that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is overcoming unfairness with excellence. Yes, that is how unfairness is overcome. It is through your excellence. Now, I talked many times in the past on this show about dealing with situations that may be unequal or unfair, and let me refer to you to a few of them. First of all, episode 1301, your options when facing unfairness. Episode 955, what to do when things are unfair. Episode 613, you have been lied to. Life will never be fair. Episode 1812, how to create an unfair advantage. And episode 1786, why fighting fair is for losers and idiots. Now, before I go any further, let me remind you that I have a text line where I want you to text me and tell me something that you got from this episode that really intrigued you, really made you think, and is really going to change your behavior. My number is 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. And all those episodes that I just mentioned, by the way, are listed down below in the show notes with active links. All you have to do is click on any one of those links. It'll take you right to that episode, again, down below in the show notes of this episode. Now, the reason why this topic is the topic here today is I was listening to this interview with Dave Ramsey where he was being interviewed, and he was just talking about how in life, all people come up against certain unfair circumstances at certain points. And one of the things I heard him say was, listen, one of the ways that you're going to overcome that unfairness is you're just going to have to be better. You can, if you're excellent at what you do, doesn't matter how unfair the odds are stacked against you, you're still going to end up winning. Now, again, I referred you to 5 other episodes where I've talked about this in the past. These are things that I've touched on before, but he sparked some new ideas in me today. So shout out to Dave for saying what he said. So let's get right into our points. I'm not even going to say anything else in the introduction here. Our topic, once again, is overcoming unfairness with excellence. Point number 1, how do you overcome an unfair situation? Because many of you right now, you may feel like the odds are stacked against you. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Maybe you're just being emotional and being a pussy about the situation. But maybe it is unfairly stacked against you. But if you believe it, then maybe that's true. Because as they say, perception is reality. So let's just say that the situation really is unfair against you right now. What can you do in that situation? Let me tell you the very first thing that you must do. Now, this is the very first thing you must do in any situation in your life in which you are going to create the outcomes that you want. You must make a decision to succeed. The first thing that you must do to overcome any unfairness or lack of equal opportunity or any type of bias that is being levied against you right now in your business, in your sport, in your career, in your life, the first thing you must do is make a decision that you're going to succeed. That's the whole first point. When you make the decision that success is your destiny and that success is your duty, despite the odds stacked against you, despite what anybody else is doing or not doing for you, despite what someone is doing to try to block you or hate on you or slow you down, when you make that decision, you will create the success anyway. I told you that the key word in mental toughness is until, that you are going to keep trying and keep finding different ways and keep iterating and trying different approaches until you get to the outcome you want. That's what mental toughness is about. The decision to succeed is despite or anyway, meaning no matter what is coming up, no matter what is going against you or who is going against you or who's trying to block you or slow you down or stop you, you're still going to succeed because you made a decision that you're going to. You make the decision that you're going to succeed, maybe the road will be easy. Maybe everything will work the way that you want it to work. Maybe everything will go in your favor. Maybe when you ride down the road, you'll get all green lights, but maybe not. And if it's maybe not, what are you going to do? Are you going to complain about it? Are you going to whine about it? Are you going to just quit and do nothing? Or are you going to decide, or now you already decided, are you going to succeed anyway because that's the decision that you made at the beginning? Understand that a man of decision cannot be stopped, and a man of complaining and indecision cannot be started. And when I say man, I'm referring to humans, not males. What decision have you made? Have you even made a decision about your success? Everyone who's listening to me right now, I'm assuming you have some form of success you're working towards achieving right now in your life, which is why you're listening to a show called Work on Your Game. Have you made a decision that you're going to achieve that success regardless of what's going on around you, regardless of what anybody else says or does, regardless of who helps you or who tries to get in your way, who tries to slow you down, who thinks you can do it, who thinks you can't? Have you made the decision to do it anyway? Decision is the starting point of all achievement. All right, Napoleon Hill said this back 100 years ago in the best-selling self-help book of all time called Think and Grow Rich. Have you made a decision? If you have not made a decision, of course, it makes sense then that none of your strategies and tactics are working. Point number 2, today's topic once again is how to overcome unfairness with excellence. Number 2, raise your standard of performance to where there are no holes in your game. If the situation is unfair against you, that means any little slip up, any little hole, any little mistake somebody could use against you because they already have a they're already trying to slow you down, right? They're already trying to hate on you. They're already trying to block you. They're already trying to stop you. So your job is not to bitch and complain about them and just whine and gesture about the fact that they're doing bad things to you and become a victim or become a martyr about the situation, because that's not going to help you succeed. It might get you some attention and sympathy, but not for long, and it's not going to help you get success in the long run. Not going to help you get any success, period. So what you need to do is, knowing this, since you already have recognized the situation is unfair against you, don't give the haters any opportunity to leverage anything against you. Don't give them any chance to say, oh, see, well, that's the reason why. That's the reason why this person is no good. That's the reason why we didn't give him the job. That's the reason why they didn't get the deal. That's the reason why he doesn't get in the game. That's the reason why he's not on the team. Don't give them any opportunity to say that. Thurgood Marshall, when he came out of law school as a black man who wanted to practice law way before the civil rights movement had begun, it was really hard for him to even get any cases, let alone to win any cases. When he finally did get some cases, Mr. Marshall, he was losing his cases. He was losing cases against his counterparts were white lawyers, and the judge was white, and he was losing all his cases. And he thought, hey, maybe it's because that I'm black, but you know what? He didn't lean on that. He didn't quit and give up on that. The reason why I don't have to explain who Thurgood Marshall is, you know his name, because he didn't quit. He kept going. You know what he decided to do? He realized, instead of looking at himself and saying, oh, it must be because of the color of my skin that I'm failing. Well, he can't change the color of his skin. So what are you going to do? Quit? Give up? Just quit the law profession because you think it's all unfair against you? Now, had he done that, what roads would not have been paved for the many that came after him? What Thurgood Marshall did instead was look at himself and say, all right, what are these other guys doing that I'm not doing? He said, or he realized what he needed to do. He said, first of all, let me make sure that when I make my arguments in court, that I make my arguments the same way that these lawyers who are beating me, how are they making their arguments? They're not arguing these grand things. They're not arguing these big overarching points like I am. What they're doing is arguing these really small details of legal procedure, and that's how they're beating me. They're beating me in detail by arguing the details of things, and the details of the law, rather than arguing the big overall picture of the law. So when he started doing that, he started to get a little bit more success. He said, oh, another thing I need to do when I'm turning my legal briefs, I need to make sure there are no erasure marks. I need to make sure they are pristine, clean, and perfect with no mistypings, no smudges, and no erasures. So I look as professional as possible to these judges who may already have some bias against me because of the color of my skin. So he started having a little bit more success because of doing that. And he said, another thing I got to do is I got to make sure I'm presenting myself to look as professional as possible. Since they might already have bias against me because of the color of my skin, let me make sure when I show up here, I look the part of a lawyer who knows what the hell he's doing, who's on top of his shit. So he made sure his suits were always pristine, clean, no unironed suits, make sure his stuff was always pressed, his shoes were always shined, and he looked neat and clean, and he looked like a person of success before he'd even created the success. When Thurgood Marshall put all of those aspects together, he started winning some cases. Then he started winning some more, winning more, and then he became a Supreme Court justice. I mean, we skipped a lot. Long story short, he became a Supreme Court justice. But what did Thurgood Marshall do? And what I want you to notice about that story is that he didn't sit down and become a victim. He didn't become a martyr. He didn't complain about the situation against him. What he did was figure out what game he was in, figure out how the game was, how he was losing the game, why he was losing the game, and then ask himself a key question. What aspects of this game can I control? What can I do in order to make the game start working in my favor? Now, there are certain aspects of the game he couldn't change. He couldn't change who the judge was. He couldn't change what his opponents did. He couldn't change necessarily the facts of the cases that he was arguing, but what he could change was his own personal approach. Notice all the three things that I told you that he did. Change the way he argued, change the way his briefs looked, and change the way he presented himself physically. Those are things that he controlled. He raised the standard of his own performance to where there were no holes in his game. And when he did that, he started to create more success. Then he created more and more and more to the point that he paved the way for a whole bunch of people, black lawyers, to come into the game after him. But what if he had quit? What if he had quit? What would have happened? Your job is to raise your standard of performance to where there are no holes in your game. No one can use anything as a pretext against you. Remember, I was playing for a team overseas once, and the coach wasn't really the person who made the decision to hire me. The team management had made the decision to hire me, but the coach is the one who has to coach me on a day-to-day basis. So this coach sometimes would do things like he would put me in the game. I wouldn't start the game. Then he would put me in the game, and then if I took one shot and missed, he would take me out of the game. And the coach didn't even speak English. So I would communicate with the coach maybe after the game or later and say, yo, what'd you take me out of the game for? You didn't even give me a chance to play. And he said, well, you missed the shot. And that was it. He was using that as a pretext to hold against me. So my best games playing for that particular team, I didn't miss a shot because then he didn't have an excuse to take me out. And that is a true story. So sometimes in life, there will be unfair situations against you. Sometimes in life, people will have biases against you. I'm not telling you that it's not real. What I'm telling you is, instead of being a victim or becoming a martyr, the extreme version of it, ask yourself what parts can you control, and then ask yourself, did you control those parts that you could control? Most of the time, the answer is no, because people get so caught up in their feelings and complaining and bitching that they never even focus on what they can do about the situation. And bitching is not a thing to do about a situation. Sometimes in life, everybody, you will need to work harder and be better than other people who are in the same position as you in order to get the same outcomes and or sometimes the same opportunities as them. This is just how life works. When I was in college, my sophomore year, basketball team coach, I remember one particular game. I got in the game, I came off the bench, got in the game, made one mistake in the game. Now, every player on the team is making different mistakes. We lost this particular game. I think we were on a losing streak. Everybody was making mistakes, but I came in, made one mistake. He immediately pulled me out of the game. And I remember I went to his office a day or two after that game, and I said to the coach, like, yo, I see other players making the same mistake that I made, and you don't say a word, but when I make that mistake, you're pulling me out of the game. What's that about? And he said, yeah, you're right. He didn't argue with me. He didn't try to bullshit me and tell me that it was something other than it was. He said, yeah, you're right. I'm holding you to a different standard. All right, there's a different set of rules that I have for you, Dre, than I have for the other players on this team. Every player on this team is a different set of rules that I deal with them with. And at that time, I didn't quite understand it. I looked at it as, oh, this coach is just being unfair. I didn't look at it as he was hating on me, but I'm like, this coach is just being unfair. I'm not getting my opportunity. I'm better than some of these guys I should be playing. Well, here's the thing that I realize now that I didn't quite realize then. And I wish this show was out so I could have told myself what I'm going to tell you right now. Life is a deck of cards, everybody. Everybody know what a deck of cards looks like, right? Y'all know how cards work. I'm not talking about any particular game, but just a deck of cards. If you and I are sitting across from each other at a table and we have a deck of cards and we just deal cards, one to you, one to me, one to you, one to me, and we just go back and forth, guess what neither of us will have? Neither of us will have any of the same cards that the other person has. There's only one king of diamonds, there's only one seven of spades, there's only one three of hearts. Only one of us gets that, and then the other one gets a different card. If it's 4 of us at the table, same thing. If it's 20 of us at the table, same thing. The only one that there is 2 of is maybe the jokers. So let's just take the jokers out. Let's just deal with the 52 card deck. Everybody gets a different set of cards. Everybody has cards, but there's a different set of cards. So since each one of us has a unique hand, you got to play the hand that you're dealt. This is the situation of life, everybody. Episode 1811, just a few weeks ago, I told you how to play your hand in life. Everybody gets different cards. Once I assess that I'm in a situation where I need to be 20 times better than my counterparts or even 20 times better than my own colleagues in order for me to win, I got to remind myself of my goal. Go back to point number 1. What's my goal? Is my goal to complain? Is my goal to be a victim? Is my goal to be a martyr, or is my goal to create success? If my goal is to create success, then putting together with the second point that I got to be 20 times better to create success, what does that mean I need to do? I need to figure out, how do I become 20 times better? Not how do I complain about the fact that I got to be 20 times better, which is what most people do. Or what I'm seeing a lot of men do, like I talked about emasculation in the last episode. Not just sit and quit because I need to be 20 times better and then tell the whole world about it later on. Write a book about how I would have been successful had I not had these odds stacked against me. That doesn't create success for me. It's not, let me pull those other people down so that even though they're getting more opportunity than me, let me pull them down so that we all are down here at the bottom at the same level, so we're starting at the same point. I probably don't have the power to do that. I may complain about it and may say that we need to do it, but it's probably not going to happen. So that'd be a waste of time and energy, attention and focus, and it would be costing me money. So I'm squandering all 5 of my key investments in life, as I talked about in episode 609. What I need to do, realizing that I got to be 20 times better in order to create success. And since I've already decided I'm going to create success, that means just by deductive reasoning, I got to become 20 times better. So my next question is, what do I need to do to be 20 times better? That's it. That's the only question I got to ask. There are no other questions. Let's go get it and do what we got to do. Let me go work on my game. Let me go get the resources that I need. Let me go figure out what I need to know, what I need to do, what I don't know, what I need to find out so I can be 20 times better, because that's what I signed up to do, period. There's nothing else to it. This is how you overcome an unfair situation in life. And moving on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is overcoming unfairness with excellence. Let me tell you 4 things that happen, 4 specific things that happen when you approach unfairness with this situation. When you approach it with the mentality of, all right, I'm going to have to work harder in order to create success. Let me find out how to do that. Then you go do it. Then you create the success. Here are the benefits that you're going to get. So I'm going to sell you on this before you even do it. Number 1, when you got to work harder than everybody else to create the same success, first of all, you're better than them. Because you had to be a whole lot better than them just to get on the same level, or just to get a little bit ahead of them, or just to get on the radar. You had to be better than them. So you know that you're better. And you have the internal confidence of knowing that you've done more work, that you put in more time, that you had to be more focused, that you had to grind a little bit harder, that you had to stay up a little bit later and wake up a little bit earlier to get on top of them, or even to get equal with them. You know that you're better than them. So if the playing field ever does level, if one of the emotional activists or the martyrs ever get the playing field to get level, and they probably won't, but let's just say that they do, now everything's going to work in your favor because you're already 20 times better than those other people. You had to become just to get to the level that you're at. So that's the first benefit. Second benefit is you are more mentally tough than your counterparts because they didn't have to work as hard as you in order to create the same success. You had to go through the challenges. You had to keep showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, boldly and authentically, even when the success you expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. Since you have already done that, your mental toughness is much higher than theirs. And when you go against that person, you'll be able to defeat them because you'll be able to sustain more than they can sustain. You can take on more of a challenge than they can take on. You can handle much more than they can handle. You can push yourself much longer than they can push themselves because they've never had to do it. They're not conditioned for it. Third benefit that you get is that you are more prepared to maintain what you have earned. When you have to build up from 0 in order to earn something, you're probably going to keep that something because you knew where you came from in order to get it. But if somebody's starting from 75, they got to get to 100, or they don't have the same toughness that you had to get from 0 to 100. Again, that's more inner confidence that you have, true inner confidence, not the kind you had to make a display of, but the kind of confidence that you know you can deal with whatever comes your way. That is also mental toughness. That also requires a high level of discipline, and it's going to require some personal initiative for you to get started to even think that you can make that happen. And once you have it, you are much more prepared to maintain it because you know what it feels like to slide back to 0, where that person only knows what it feels like to be back at 75. They don't have as much urgency as you have. The fourth benefit you get is that you are better able to teach anyone else who may fall into victimhood, who falls into bitching and complaining about their situation. You'll be able to help them. You'll be able to talk some sense into them and tell them, like, listen, hey, check this out. Don't fall into complaining and bitching about your situation. Pull your pants up and let's focus on the goal, which is creating success. And then you'll be able to empower more people to, instead of complaining and hoping that the world or other people change so they can succeed, instead, how do I change so I can make the world bend to my will? Understand, the world does not bend to the will of the complainer. The world does not bend to the will of the victim. The world bends to the will of the conqueror. The person who says, I'm going to make this situation work for me, regardless of who's trying to stop me from making it work. That's who the world bends to. That's who the world follows. That's who people are willing to rally behind and people are willing to listen to. The person who has the toughness and has the confidence that you can feel radiating from within them of knowing that they came from further behind than everybody else to get further ahead than everybody else. These are the benefits that you get when you have to work harder than anyone else. If you don't have to work as hard, you don't have to build that toughness up. You don't have to be as strong. They say, this was in Louis Seneca's book on Stoicism. He talked about how a horse or a cow or any one of those four-legged animals, when they live their whole lives on soft marshland, that their hooves become very brittle and fall apart. But when those same horses live their lives on hard rocks and in mountainous terrain, then their hooves become very tough and strong. Why? Because they have to go through tough situations over and over and over again. When people go through soft situations, they don't have to develop that toughness. So if they ever face a tough situation, which is inevitable that they will in life, and we're talking about humans here, they'll fall apart because they're not conditioned for it. They're not built for it. They have not been battle tested. I remember in the 2002 NBA Finals, the LA Lakers were playing against the New Jersey Nets. At the time, the New Jersey Nets. And it was game 3 of the series. The Lakers were up 2-0. And it was late in the fourth quarter. And this is a pivotal game. If the team's down 2-0, you lose game 3, you're down 3-0, you're probably not going to come back and win that series. So the Nets are desperately, they need to win this game. It's in New Jersey, but the Lakers are hanging on. And during the timeout, they had the cameras, the NBC cameras are in the timeout huddle with the Lakers. And you see Lakers star Kobe Bryant. During the timeout huddle, he says to his teammates, he says, hey guys, we're battle tested. He says it twice. He says, we're battle tested. He was letting his teammates know, listen, we've been in the game 7s. We've been in the do or die situations. We've been in all the tough games. We played against all the best teams in the league at home and on the road, and we beat them all. We're in the NBA Finals for the 3rd year in a row. We've been through these battles. Those guys over there, he didn't say this in so many words, they haven't been in the battles. They haven't been in the battles that we've been in. He was reminding himself and his teammates, all right, we've been through these situations, so we're tougher than them. We're ready to deal with what they don't even know what's coming. And long story short, in case you don't know, the Lakers won game 3 and game 4 and won their 3rd straight NBA championship because they had been through the battles already. So don't shy away from the battle of having to work a little bit harder than anybody else or a lot harder than everybody else because it'll make you tougher in the long run. Recapping today's class, which is overcoming unfairness with excellence. Point number 1, decide to succeed. Make the decision that success is your destiny despite whatever odds are stacked against you, because a person of decision cannot be stopped and a person of indecision cannot be started. Point number 2, raise your standard of performance to where there are no holes in your game. Sometimes in life, you will need to work harder and be better than others to get the same opportunity as them. This is just how it works. Life is a deck of cards. Nobody gets the same 2 cards. Once you assess that you need to be 20 times better, remind yourself of the goal, which is success. Now the next question by deductive reasoning is, what do I need to do to get to that 20 times level? Then let's do it. Point number 3, having to work harder gives you 4 benefits. Number 1, you're better than the people who didn't have to work as hard. Number 2, you're more mentally tough than them because of the battles you've been through. Number 3, you're more ready to maintain what you earn because you know what it feels like to come from 0. And number 4, you're better able to help anyone else who may be descending into bitching and complaining, to help them, to save them from falling into that victimhood mentality and tell them to pull their pants up and focus on the goal, which is creating success. They will thank you for it, maybe not in the moment, but they'll thank you later. Send me a text. Tell me the most valuable thing you got from today's masterclass. My number is 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre all day.